Hello, everybody, and welcome to the All-State Sugar Bowl's Hall of Fame inductions, class of 2018, and other award ceremonies. I'm Ken Berthelot. The Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame Committee and its sponsor, the All-State Sugar Bowl, is proud to bring you these special award winners from the academic year summer 2017 to summer 18. It's a privilege to be part of the committee which meets every month to select these award winners, including the Hall of Fame class and the Corbett Awards, who are the outstanding amateurs in the state of Louisiana. Special thanks go out to the Sugar Bowl Committee for its sponsorship and support of this Hall of Fame. The Sugar Bowl stepped up in 1970 and through its tremendous support behind this organization, and we're now in our 5th decade under its umbrella. We'll be honoring 23 individuals tonight, 3 teams and 4 Hall of Famers. It's truly a very challenging process through extensive debate to pare it down to arrive at those being honored tonight. You'll meet our Hall of Fame class, our yearly award winners, and we'll begin with our top athletes from each month starting in June 2017. Our athlete for the month for June 2017 is LSU Baseball's Jared Poche, who broke LSU's all-time record for wins when he pitched the Tigers to a win over Florida State to send them to the semifinals of the College World Series. A product of Lutcher High School, Poche also earned a CWS victory out of the bullpen in a critical 5-4 win over Florida State in the opening round. Jared is currently playing with the Oakland Athletics. For July 2017, Kyle Clayton of the Pedal Valve Cardinals was instrumental in his team's run to a second consecutive Louisiana American Legion Championship. In the state tournament, Clayton pitched 2 complete game shutouts, striking out 24 and allowing just 3 total hits in a pair of 1-0 victories. For August 2017, Christopher Turpin of the New Orleans Boosters helped pitch the Boosters to the 2017 All-American Amateur Baseball Association National Championship. He pitched a complete game shutout, allowing only 2 hits before coming on in relief in the championship game and pitching the final 3 innings to earn the save. For September 2017, De La Salle football's Julian Gums led the Cavaliers to a pair of wins over 2 reigning state champions. In a 28-26 win over Class 4A champion Carr, Gums rushed for 173 yards, and then in a 42-21 over D3 champion Riverside, he rushed for 157 yards and 2 TDs and threw a 38-yard touchdown pass. In October 2017, Devin Brumfield of Covington High School rushed for 673 yards and 6 touchdowns in a perfect 4-0 month. In the wins, he rushed for 262 yards and a touchdown in a brilliant victory over North Shore, 148 yards in a win over Hammond, 143 in a St. Paul's victory, and 120 in a blowout of Fontainebleau. Devin is playing at the University of Utah. In November 2017, Anthony Puka Williams dazzled Hanville High School crowds by rushing for 1,084 yards in the 4 November games and averaging over 10 yards per carry to go with 13 touchdowns as the 10th-seeded Tigers advanced to the semifinals of the Class 5A state playoffs. Puka is playing for the University of Kansas. In December 2017, Alexis Laverine of Fontainebleau High School won all of her bouts by unanimous decision to capture the 2017 USA Amateur Boxing Championship. The 15-year-old's goal is to represent the United States in the 2020 Olympics. The victory was Laverine's 6th national championship. She is a 4-time ringside world champion and a 2-time junior national champion. January 2018 hosted co-winners. UNO basketball's Randy Brown averaged 19.6 points per game as the Privateers went 6-3 in January. She had 3 20-point games and hit a game-winning jumper in the final seconds against the University of Incarnate Word. Our other co-winner was Riverside Academy's Jared Butler, who averaged 21 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals a game as Riverside remained unbeaten with 7 victories that month. Jared is playing at Alabama and is coached by former Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Famer Avery Johnson. Ursuline Academy's Courtney Weber is February 2018's Athlete of the Month as she led the eventual state champions to a perfect 6-0 record in February. She reached the 1,500-point milestone in her career in a second-round playoff win and scored 24 points in a quarterfinal victory. She added 18 points and 12 rebounds in a semifinal win over Loyola Prep. For March 2018, Maria Barodi, a Xavier tennis freshman from the Ukraine, led the Gold Nuggets into the top 5 of the NAIA national rankings. In March, she posted a perfect 6-0 record in singles and a 6-1 mark in doubles. On March 15th, Barodi became the first Xavier women's tennis player to earn simultaneous top 3 rankings in singles and doubles. In April 2018, Erin Burkhart of the Academy of Our Lady led her school to an undefeated season and the State Girls Bowling Championship, the first state title in any sport in the school's history. One day later, Burkhart won the title in the singles portion of the event. She capped off the month by winning the girls' under-20 division of the Louisiana Championships. In May 2018, Aaliyah Hobbs of LSU, a graduate of McMain High School, won her second straight SEC title in the 100-meter dash with a meet record time, and then anchored the Tigers' 4x100 relay team that dashed to the fastest time in collegiate history. She followed up her SEC performance by winning the 100-meter dash in the NCAA East Regionals. Congratulations to our Athletes of the Month for 2017 and 18. From our monthly winners, we have 3 on college football scholarships, 2 each on baseball and basketball scholarships, and 1 on a bowling scholarship. 3 have become professional athletes, and 2 are strong candidates to become Olympians, all from right here in the greater New Orleans area. Our next set of awards are video presentations for our high school coaches, teams, and the Boys and Girls Prep Athletes of the Year from the New Orleans area. It's hard for a coach to win one single state championship. Back-to-back is considered very special. But how about Pope John Paul volleyball coach Danny Tullis winning a 4th consecutive volleyball state championship for his Jaguars? Words come to mind like phenomenal, magnificent, superb, and yes, dynasty. A coach wants to develop his players and give them a competitive edge to win. To do that at the championship level 4 consecutive times, it's something of storybook fame. Tullis credits the keys to the Jags' success in that the girls want to be teammates first and then become the best they can be. And the coach credited the parents who had been incredibly involved with hard work behind the scenes to help build the program into what it is today and to continue to work to keep it where it needs to be in the future. He instilled in his players the desire to outwork opponents and play smart, not making mistakes, and playing together as a team. A winning formula from a winning coach that has resulted in a dynasty for Pope John Paul volleyball. Coach Jeff Curtis is creating a small dynasty of his own, winning his 2nd consecutive state championship since taking over the reins of the Curtis baseball program 3 years ago. With an eye for talent and player development, Jeff was determined to make the baseball program as successful year in and year out as other school programs. This year's Division I state championship was accomplished by getting the most out of his players. When you're the defending champs, you get everybody's best shot. Jeff Curtis had his team prepared for just that. 12 Curtis seniors helped garner these back-to-back state titles, and maybe a baseball dynasty in the making. The All-State Sugar Bowl's outstanding girls and boys prep coaches in the New Orleans area are the Pope John Paul volleyball coach Danny Tullis and John Curtis baseball coach Jeff Curtis. Aaliyah Hobbs from McMain High School in New Orleans again dominated collegiate sprinting in 2018 as she did last year at LSU. The senior won the 100-meter dash at the NCAA Outdoors and keyed LSU's 4x100 relay victory. That was followed by a 60-meter dash championship at the NCAA Indoors with a time of 7.07 seconds, the 6th fastest time in the world. Aaliyah Hobbs is also the recipient of the James J. Corbin Award for the Outstanding Female Amateur Athlete in the state of Louisiana. We'll have more on her superb record-setting and championship season in the video presentation for that award. At Hahnville High School for the last 4 years, the cheers coming from the stands have been Puka, as in Puka Williams. Anthony Puka Williams was named Mr. Football for Louisiana by the Louisiana Sports Writers Association and has been thrilling crowds and wreaking havoc on opponents' defenses since his freshman year. As a senior, the Offensive Player of the Year on the USA Today All-Louisiana team rushed for 3,128 yards and 37 touchdowns and led the Tigers to the 5A state championship game. Such performances attracted a lot of attention. The 5'9", 165-pounder chose the Kansas Jayhawks to play running back for as his college team. Hahnville coach Nick Salterformaggio said, "Anthony has run almost 7 miles. That's pretty good in 4 years of labor." And his coach continued, he'll go down as one of the great players in Louisiana prep football. The All-State Sugar Bowls, outstanding prep girls and boys amateur athletes in the New Orleans area are McMain High School and LSU sprinter Aaliyah Hobbs and Hahnville running back Anthony Puka Williams. The word dynasty is often bandied about way too often these days, but it's deserving when you talk Pope John Paul High School girls volleyball. The top-seeded Jaguars solidified their stranglehold in Division IV girls volleyball by winning a 4th consecutive state championship in 2018. Senior leaders will say that this year's Jaguars were a team that decided that they would work harder than their opponents and play smarter with ball control and keeping the ball in the court. It all led to a championship season and a 4-year state championship run that will set the bar for all programs to follow. The outstanding boys prep team is the John Curtis Patriots baseball team, who completed one of the most dominant season-long performances in recent history. On their way to a 2nd consecutive Division I state championship, the Patriots posted a 30-win, 4-loss season. Curtis was led by Louisiana's Mr. Baseball, Cade Beloso, who hit .489 with 14 homers, and catcher Jay Curtis, who hit the game winner out of the park in the state title game. The two top pitchers, Ian Landreneau and Will Rippole, were a combined 10-0, with the staff posting a sizzling 1.51 ERA while being backed by a .951 fielding percentage. Formulas for championships. The 2018 state champs ended the season nationally ranked by the USA Today as the 4th best team in the nation. The All-State Sugar Bowls, girls and boys outstanding prep teams in the New Orleans area are Pope John Paul Volleyball and the John Curtis Patriot baseball teams. Congratulations again to all of our prep winners. Our College Coach of the Year was one of 23 coaches nominated for this award. The committee selected Tim Rebo from Nicholls State University as Coach of the Year. You can still believe in magic because it's happening down on Bayou Lafourche in Thibodaux, where Nicholls State University football coach Tim Rebo is turning around what had become the most downtrodden football program in the Southland Conference and one of the worst in the nation. The Colonels had an overall record of 6 wins and 40 losses over 4 seasons and had won just 1 conference game in 29 attempts over that span. Rebo began the overhaul in 2015, introducing a work ethic to produce a change in culture. He won 8 games in the first 2 seasons, including a winning Southland Conference record his second year. It came to fruition in Rebo's 3rd season. last year when he led the Colonels to their first overall winning record in more than a decade. Rebo's team would claim a program record 7 Southland Conference victories and a spot in the FCS playoffs. The Colonels finished the season with an overall 8-4 record and were nationally ranked in both of the final FCS polls. The 8 wins were the most at Nichols since 1995. And by focusing mostly on high school players to grow with the program, it took Rebo a little longer to lay the foundation. 68 of his first 74 recruits were Louisiana natives, with most of those student-athletes hailing from within a 2-hour radius of Thibodaux. He's getting players who are recruited by Power 5 conference schools. This is a foundation built to last. Nichols graduated only 16 seniors from their FCS playoff team, which ranked as high as 17th in the nation. Early in 2018, Nichols rewarded Rebo with a new 4-year contract, so he'll be around to lead this elite group to the promise of a great future for Nichols football. The All-State Sugar Bowl's outstanding college coach in Louisiana is the Nichols Colonels head football coach, Tim Rebo.
First of all, he forgot to tell you that of the 12 coaches, 11 of them turned it down. So they called me up and said, would I accept the award? So I told them that I would. And also, by the way, who we opened up the first game of the year against the Kansas Jayhawks. So we'll see some guys down the road. But look, I know this. I'd like to thank a lot of people. And, you know, you don't do this by yourself. And it's a great honor to represent Nichols State University, the entire community, and of course my family's here. I want to thank them, my athletic director, Matt Rohn. But you win with good people, and we were 0-12. When we took over, we said the only place we had to go was up, and it starts with the players. We hired a good staff, and it started with a young man right over here. A lot of you know who he is, Chase Forcade, committed to us, and he's going to be our 3-year starter at quarterback coming back. So, and then Julian Gums, and you said it, Kenny, the talent in this state is incredible, and there's so many players around in this area, and we just all want to keep them home. So I'd like to thank the committee for this award, and go Colonels.
Congratulations, Tim Rebo. Former Grambling coaching great Eddie Robinson accomplished so much with so little resources at his tiny North Louisiana school that the Eddie Robinson Award today is given to a group or an individual who also encompasses those values. The winner, St. Catherine Drexel Prep. Since its rebirth, St. Catherine Drexel Prep has slowly built an athletics program from what was recently an also-ran to a double state championship program and a powerhouse in girls sports. Its growth culminated during the 2017-18 school year by winning the Division III state basketball championship. It was a storybook win for a team that was supposed to be too young to even be a contender. But Coach Terry Wilson and his team did the impossible and brought home the first ever basketball state title to Magazine Street. Not long after, it was another state crown when St. Catherine Drexel Prep won the Class 2A Girls Outdoor Track and Field Championships. The state titles were the culmination of an amazing story of resilience that transcends athletics and reaches deep into the hearts of people who would not give up. St. Catherine Drexel Preparatory was founded by the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament in 1915 under the name Xavier University Preparatory School. The school gave African American teenagers in the New Orleans metro area an opportunity to receive a quality Catholic education that would prepare them for life's challenges at a time when segregation was still in effect. The school became girls only in 1971. Hurricane Katrina took its toll in 2005. Despite tireless work by the sisters, the financial challenges were so great, a decision was made to close the school at the end of the 2013 school year. 6 alumni stepped up and said, "No way." They formed a corporation to purchase and save the school and its legacy, and save it they did. A century-old tradition, lovingly dubbed the Drexel Dream, continues academically and now athletically strong as 2 state titles prove to be a rebirth confirmation of Winston Churchill's famous quote, "Never, ever give up." Because those who believe in St. Catherine Drexel Prep didn't. One of the smallest schools in this state continues to play one of the biggest roles in the lives of the young ladies who live the Drexel dream. The All-State Sugar Bowls recipient of the 2018 Eddie Robinson Award for accomplishing so much success with so little resources is the St. Catherine Drexel Prep Athletics Department.
I'm Terry Wilson, Athletic Director, Head Girls Basketball Coach here at St. Catherine Drexel Preparatory School. I'm the 8th child of 12 siblings. When I said we were meant for the big stage, I had to know. The idea we are made for the big stage, but I didn't have the idea that we would be on this stage. This is a big stage. I was recruited by the Honorable Eddie Robinson in 1978. At that time, I had several brothers that had been recruited. While my stay at Grambling State University, I received a Master's of Science degree. My brother Gregory was a player and a coach at Grambling State University. When I arrived at SKDP, many remind me that I were walking on scared ground, where a saint ate, slept, and cared for young people. To the athletic department, thanks for your hard work, your dedication, and your sportsmanship. Thank you on behalf of the team, the coaches, the administration, faculty, staff, alumni, students that will carry the legacy recipient of this award. Thank you, and may God bless you.
It's time to meet the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame class of 2018. In alphabetical order, they are Tom Benson, football greats A.J. Dewey and John Fourcade, and basketball great Irvin Johnson. We begin with Tom Benson, who passed away earlier this year. An icon in the New Orleans sports and automobile industry, his wife Gail will be accepting the award.
If it weren't for Tom Benson, the city of New Orleans might not have a professional franchise. Mr. Benson stepped up when the city's NFL and NBA franchises needed a buyer, ensuring that the Crescent City would remain as the home of the Saints and Pelicans. It was a testament of how much a city that cared for God would be a city that Tom Benson would never forget as he continued to give back to the hometown he loved. Raised in the St. Roch neighborhood of the 9th Ward, Benson attended St. Aloysius High School, where he graduated in 1944. His life and family were intertwined into the very fabric and culture of New Orleans. At Loyola University, his college study of business and accounting was interrupted when he enlisted in the United States Navy. At the conclusion of World War II, Tom returned home to complete his education and graduate from Loyola. In 1948, he went to work as a bookkeeper for Cathy Chevrolet and quickly proved himself in the automobile industry. By 1962, Mr. Benson, at the age of 35, established a multi-automobile dealership with outlets throughout New Orleans and South Texas. Though no one could have known it at the time, it seemed the good Lord was putting into place an opportunity for Tom Benson's generosity to manifest itself at a later time. And that time happened in 1985, when Benson learned that the Saints were on the verge of being sold to parties who were interested in relocating the team. Benson, knowing the importance of an NFL team to his hometown, purchased the team on May 31, 1985. The Saints finally found success under Benson's guidance. The team finished 12-3 in 1987, its first ever winning season, and hosted its first playoff contest. There were 5 more playoff appearances prior to 2006. Then, Benson entrusted Executive Vice President and General Manager Mickey Loomis to hire Sean Payton as head coach and sign free agent quarterback Drew Brees. The franchise took off. Since then, the Saints have posted a 119-85 record, earned 6 playoff berths, 6 division titles, and won Super Bowl 44 in 2009, building a foundation for continued success on and off the field. In 2012, Mr. Benson purchased the Hornets from the NBA, successfully rebranding them as the Pelicans and ensuring New Orleans would remain their home. Through the draft, free agency, and trades, the Pelicans had found success and in 2018 made the playoffs for the second time since Benson purchased the team, winning a first-round playoff series. Mr. Benson's commitment to his community includes overseeing renovations and obtaining title sponsors for the Mercedes-Benz Superdome and Smoothie King Center. He was the driving force behind New Orleans hosting 5 Super Bowls and 2 NBA All-Star weekends. His legacy will live on through decades of cancer research to his financial support to educational institutions, healthcare, faith-based causes, military, and numerous local institutions that help those in need. Tom Benson's love and generosity toward others was a life best described by a quote attributed to Francis of Assisi: "Preach the gospel always. When necessary, use words." Mr. Benson went to be with the Lord on March of 2018. He is survived by his wife Gail, who will continue his legacy in marvelous fashion. Please welcome to the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame, Tom Benson.
I would like to take the opportunity to thank the selection committee of the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame, as well as congratulate the class of 2018 inductees: A.J. Duhay, John Forcade, and Irvin Johnson. I humbly accept this most distinguished award in honor of my late husband, Tom Benson, who would have been so delighted in accepting this induction. My husband was very proud to call New Orleans his home. Tom loved to travel, and we were fortunate to visit some incredible places and experience wonderfully memorable trips. However, as far away as our travels were, there was one constant. Tom loved to tell people about New Orleans. Whether it was about the incredible food and culture of New Orleans, our city's remarkable renaissance following Hurricane Katrina, and above all else, his beloved Saints and Pelicans. Tom was eager to speak freely about his love for this city. I will never forget our visit to Pope Benedict XVI in St. Peter's Square in 2011. Here we are admiring the famous Fisherman's Ring, which symbolizes the Pope's papal authority. And not to be outdone, Tom was equally as eager to show His Holiness his beloved Super Bowl 44 ring. It was truly a sight to behold. I'm rather sure that Pope Benedict has never experienced anything quite like that moment. Tom's true passions were indeed for his hometown and the Saints and Pelicans. He loved winning, and he took such great joy in watching the incredible fans of our teams bask in the enjoyment of Saints and Pelicans victories. He used to always say, "Can you believe how great the fans were?" Truly, his greatest joys were in seeing the jubilation of the fans following wins and seeing how the people of this city and region carried themselves a little higher and had more pep in their step following the victories of the teams. As we embark on the 2018 seasons for the Saints and Pelicans, we are filled with eagerness and excitement and look forward to what hopefully are tremendous seasons. I am confident that the hard work throughout the off seasons, coupled with the dedication of the players and coaches, will pay dividends. In closing, thank you for this most gracious honor. I am humbled to know that Tom has joined this pantheon of truly remarkable honorees, both past and present, in the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame. Tom Benson would be so pleased and honored to join this elite fraternity of dignitaries. Thank you all again, and may you all receive many continued blessings. Thank you.
Our next Hall of Famer grew up in Reserve, Louisiana, starred at LSU, and enjoyed a great career with the Miami Dolphins. A.J. Dewey.
Adam Joseph Dewey grew up in Reserve, Louisiana, where he dreamed of playing big-time football. His dream was to be a quarterback. When his football dream became a reality, instead of playing quarterback, Dewey became a quarterback's nightmare. At Godjaw, A.J. was the only player in his district to be selected all-district on both offense and defense. And he punted for a 36-yard average. At the Louisiana High School All-Star Game, he blocked 3 punts while starring on both sides of the ball to earn MVP game honors. At LSU, Dewey settled in at defensive tackle for Coach Charlie McClendon. At 6'4", 245 pounds, A.J. used superior quickness and athletic ability to control the line of scrimmage. His explosiveness at the line wreaked havoc for blockers. A.J.'s best season as a Tiger saw LSU finish 9-3 and in second place in the SEC. He earned first-team All-Southeastern Conference honors, averaging 72 tackles and 27 tackles for loss, top-notch for a defensive lineman. And he also earned SEC All-Academic honors. At the Senior Bowl, Dewey was voted the outstanding defensive player for the South. One scouting report stated A.J. was spirited and fiercely competitive, so quick to rush the passer and so powerful in stopping the run. Dewey was such a dominating force at LSU that in 1977, the Miami Dolphins made A.J. Dewey the 13th overall choice in the first round of the NFL Draft. He immediately made his presence known by playing his way to Defensive Rookie of the Year honors. He switched to linebacker for the 1980 season, where he was a beast on the blitz, amassing 84 tackles with 5.5 sacks. A year later, in 1981, he was second on the team with 110 tackles and added 7.5 sacks, and was named first-team All-AFC by the United Press International. Dewey is perhaps best known for his legendary performance in the 1983 AFC Championship game, dubbed as the Mud Bowl against the New York Jets. The Orange Bowl field was doused in water and mud due to a heavy rainstorm. After a scoreless first half, Dewey intercepted 3 Richard Todd passes and returned 1 35 yards for a touchdown in a 14-0 win.
Intercepted, and that's going to be a touchdown. A.J. Dewey, what a day for Dewey! It is hard to believe A.J. Dewey in 6 years in the NFL has only 2 interceptions. He has 3 today, and that one for a touchdown,
which sent Dewey and the Dolphins to their first of 2 Super Bowls. He was selected All-Pro twice and was named to the 1984 Pro Bowl. A.J.'s accomplishments occurred during 8 NFL seasons, where he often played injured. And those injuries eventually cut short his career with 9 surgeries to his shoulder, knees, and wrist. Today, friends in the River Parishes remember Dewey as the small-town boy who played big-time football and never gave up on his dream. Let's welcome the All-State Sugar Bowl's Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2018, football great Adam Joseph A.J. Dewey.
I want to thank the selection committee for selecting me as one of the honorees this year. It's a great accomplishment to be selected along with Mr. Benson, John, and Irvin. This is a great time in my life, and I appreciate the selection from the committee. Also want to be able to just thank fans, I guess starting back from my youth. We had fans in our youth playing Little League and everything, and and it's obviously going to be our dear loved ones. My late parents, they loved to watch their little boy play, and he was happy to make them proud. I'm here tonight. My brother, my 2 sisters, we went our different routes, and I was the guy that was just the gym rat. I mean, we all picked our own different avenues, but I picked that avenue, and it paid off for me. And I just want to tell some of you young athletes here tonight that accomplish things at a young age, just never give up on trying to make it to the top of the mountain, because some of you are going to get there. I mean, not everybody, and you have to understand that, but just keep your dreams up and keep your hopes alive, and things will turn out for you. Also want to thank the fans along the way who supported me through high school, Leon Gottschall, and then obviously Tiger Nation. I know there's a lot of Tiger Nation here, and we're strong here in the South. I have a little Tiger Nation in South Florida. Every time I see somebody with a little LSU decal or LSU something hanging there, I try and pull them over and talk to them. I mean, I love having that LSU Nation wherever I can have it happen. I guess, as time goes on, then more and more people became a big part of my life. When I was at LSU, I was kind of, maybe I felt like I was, big man on campus, and then I met my beautiful wife. She was my little princess back then, and I was 19, she was 17, and I think that did a lot for me. It kind of made me kind of feel a little more secure, a little more kind of contained, I guess you want to say it. I think she made me confident. She brought joy to my life. Obviously, my parents loved her, which was a great thing. I mean, and my family loved her, and it was like, everything turned out to be great for us. Along the way, my brothers, my sisters, they were married. Their siblings became my fans. Obviously my in-laws, my mother-in-law, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, their spouses. Because they were, that was kind of towards my college and my professional careers, and they were big supporters of mine. So I think all of them just loved the fact that the way our families grew and how much they supported me. I know that being from Leon Gottschall High School, we weren't a very good team back in those days. Now it's East St. John High School, and obviously the people in Louisiana, you'll know how successful they are, but we were a struggling team. So just kind of giving you an idea about, like I'm telling you young kids, always keep your eye on that mountaintop, because you never know when something's going to happen good for you along the way. I was recruited accidentally to go to LSU. I was kind of getting some offers from some of the smaller schools around the state, but LSU was recruiting this top-notch offensive lineman in my junior year from one of the Hammond High School, which happened to be one of the big high schools in that day, in that time and era. They were always competing for state championships, and I just happened to have a phenomenal game against a kid that was probably one of the top 2 or 3 offensive tackles in the country. Didn't know anything about it. Went home. A couple weeks later, Coach Leighton Doug Hamley came in, recruited me, and says, "We want to offer you a scholarship, after you finish your senior year." And I'm still a junior, and I was like, great. I just, the greatest thing in my life. I've been an LSU fan since I was a little boy, listening to them on the radio, just like I did listening to the Saints on the radio, on my AM radio. I'd go out in the front and find a good signal on the porch and try and just listen to the games. It was just a great time in my life. And speaking of the Saints, when they won their Super Bowl, I work for Caesars Entertainment, and I work in the casino business, and I was hosting a group of customers in Las Vegas. And after the game was over, I was so excited. I was going out the building, and they started showing post-game accomplishments and the banter. And all of a sudden, I saw Drew Brees holding his little boy. I started crying. It's like it meant so much to me. Excuse me. But getting back to how LSU. So I had Coach Mack who saw me play in the All-Star game for high school, and he's the one who had thought of my accomplishments in that game, and he called me up right into the locker room after the game and says, "Son, you're going to get a lot of playing time with this team." And I was, here I am unheralded, not thinking, not having a whole lot of confidence that I can compete, but I was competing, and you don't know it. You just don't know how hard your accomplishments and your competition, can help you rise to the top. And in that year, it's still something to this day that I feel very, very, one of my proud accomplishments is that I was the only player, and still may hold up, to be a starter as a freshman in Division I football and not turn 18 until the season ended. Because back in those days, college football used to end a lot earlier, and I ended up ending the season. I turned 18 about 10 days after the season ended, because my birthday is towards the very end of November. So that's an accomplishment I feel very, very proud of, and I could use some of that water right there, sweetheart. Excuse me, but as you can tell, I wing it. That's kind of the way I played. I mean, it helps. It makes you a good player sometimes too, right? You know that, right? You put in game plans, you do all your work, but on game day, sometimes you got to wing it. And big plays are made when you wing it sometimes. All right. So getting a little more further into my accomplishments and how this became part of today's accomplishment is that when I played in the Senior Bowl, Coach Shula and his staff were coaching us, and I was kind of a guy that was kind of under the radar still, maybe a third-round draft pick, and I went out there with a lot of my sights still set on the top of that mountain, and I worked hard, busted my butt every day in practice, and I remember it was during the game, and we had just scored a touchdown, and I wasn't even on the kickoff team. And Coach Shula was like, we only got 10 guys out there. And I just ran onto the field just to be to cover the kickoff. And I wasn't in the kickoff team. I just said, the hell with it. I'm getting out there. I'm going to go out there and play and make, and sure enough, when it come time draft time, he tells me this story still. He tells this story. He says, AJ, he says, when we had our meetings, he says, I told my general manager and our player personnel directors, I'm not letting y'all make my decision on my pick. I'm not letting y'all do it. And because they had all these other guys on top of the board. And when it came time, when I fell to, I actually didn't fall. I mean, I was supposed to be like a second-round draft pick, maybe an end of the first-round draft pick. So when my pick came up, the Buffalo Bills were on the phone, and they called me up, and they said, we're in the clock, and they asked me who my agent was. And I told him who the guy was. He was Howard Slusher. He was one of the greatest hard-nosed negotiators in the day. And they said, well, give us a second or so. We'll think about it. I get off the phone. I tell my roommates, I think I'm going to the Buffalo Bills. I didn't want to do that. I mean, come on. It's a job, but still. So the phone rings just a minute or so later, and I kind of go, I guess y'all going to come see me in Buffalo. And I pick up the phone, and it was Bobby Beathard on the phone. He goes, we would like you to speak to Coach Shula. We just made you the #1 pick of the Miami Dolphins. And I tell you what, man, my life, my heart rate went up, and everything just was just bells and whistles was going off, and it was the greatest time of my life at that time. And then, over the years, playing for Coach Shula, playing for Coach Bill Arnsberger, one of the greatest defensive minds in the game, he kind of helped me develop a skill set that, to this day, it's a lot better. But we invented the zone blitz. I mean, I don't know if you know that. We kind of invented the zone blitz. So just think, I mean, and my kids, they tell my boys and some of their friends, you saw the highlights, they'll kind of go, Dad, why were you guys so slow? I'm kind of going, well, I was faster than the other guys because I outran them, so I had to be faster than some of those guys. So that's always some good fun stories around the house around the holidays, and we love getting after it. But the injuries really sunk in. My last couple years in the league, I started getting surgery after surgery, and I just couldn't go anymore. In my heart, I really wanted to play. My mind said you can play, but the body just wouldn't take it anymore. But I thank God. And again, I mean, my mother and father, who I wish were here, I think they're looking. Maybe they're talking to Mr. Benson. I know my dad was a big Saints fan, so maybe he's up there, pulling them aside and talking some football with Mr. Benson. Thank you all very much. Appreciate the committee making the selection. Our next honorees. Congratulations to you guys. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.
John Forcade put Archbishop Shaw football on the map, and then he enjoyed a fine career at Ole Miss and with the New Orleans Saints. By the end of his first day of 8-year-old Little League practice, John Forcade's coach recognized a quarterback talent. Recognizing that talent 5 years later, Archbishop Shaw High School coach Joe Zimmerman named Forcade the Eagles' starting quarterback as a freshman. asking John to grow up quickly. At 13 years old, it was a bit overwhelming as Forcade had never seen players with beards. Neither did many of the other talented Shaw freshmen who found themselves competing against men. That Shaw team went winless in year one to a 9-win, 1-loss season their junior year and a trip to the quarterfinals. The Eagles were trailing 7-6 when Forcade went down with an injury. Shaw lost. 1 year later as a senior, Forcade engineered an 8-2 season and a subsequent berth in the state semifinals at South Lafourche, led by quarterback Bobby Hebert. Late in the game, Forcade completed a game-winning touchdown pass that was nullified by a controversial penalty call by the referee for crossing the line of scrimmage. The Tarpons prevailed 27-23 and won state the following week. Forcade closed his prep career as the All-Metro and Class 4A MVP, and he put Shaw football on the map. He became the subject of a national recruiting manhunt. Alabama and LSU told Forcade he wouldn't start until his junior year. But Ole Miss coach Steve Sloan, as John describes it, was a fresh face in coaching with an offense identical to Shaw, and John's brother Keith was there. Though Ole Miss wasn't winning, John could play immediately. Despite the Rebels' lack of overall team success, Forcade made a long-standing mark on the Ole Miss record books. In 4 years in Oxford, he accounted for 6,713 career yards, surpassing Archie Manning in that category, a record that stood until Eli Manning's days with the Rebels. On the final play of his college career, John took it into the end zone himself for the game-winning touchdown and a sweet victory over arch-rival Mississippi State. Though Ole Miss finished 4-7, 3-9, and 4-6 while he was a Rebel, Forcade was a two-time All-SEC selection and the MVP of the Senior Bowl. Coach Steve Sloan said, "John had a linebacker mentality. We were always good offensively. We just weren't quite as good defensively to match up. It was an honor to have coached him." After his standout collegiate career, Forcade would play in Canada and the USFL before getting an NFL opportunity with his hometown New Orleans Saints in 1987. He would enjoy some great moments in 4 seasons with the Saints, including the NFL strike season. He played in 24 games and threw 14 touchdowns. One of those scores is ranked as a top 100 NFL TD, and at the same time, one of the top NFL follies, too. Wait for it and watch the end result.
The Saints, the ball comes loose. Another Ram has picked it up. This is a lineman. This one's going to be seen on the highlights for a long, long time. 28 looking to lateral it. The ball goes loose and the Saints have it. It's Forcade. He's got it at the 40, 45, 50, 40, 30, 25, 20, 10 into the end zone for the touchdown.
Let's welcome to the All-State Sugar Bowl's Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame class of 2018. Quarterbacking great, John Forcade.
But first I want to say to the committee who voted for AJ, myself, Irving, and Mr. Tom Benson, it's a thrill and honor to go in with you guys and the All-State Sugar Bowl committee for putting this on. But today I got the call from Renee Nato. You know, he said, "John, we've been doing this for 12 years." And I sort of forgot about it. I'm just driving in the West Bank, and I am a West Banker, so I spend most of my time in the West Bank. And I'm driving, and he surprised me by telling me this. And I had to pull over, and I was pretty excited. And I'm like, God, it's been 12 years, and I totally forgot about it. I told Renee, I said, you know, you sure about this? You're not making the wrong phone call here? And you know, as you go along, you keep waiting. And so today, you know, talking with Kenny Trahan, and I said, I'll tell you what I won't do. I won't pull a TO. I'm going to show up for the event and get my award and be honored. And, you know, you go back, there's so many people I can sit here and talk to about, you know, there was Ron Burkhardt, Bill Baumgartner, Kenny Trahan, Kenny Berthelot, Renee Nato, And then when I go back, I'm going to go back to Hap Glaude days, Buddy DiLiberto, those guys, Jim Henderson. You know, they kept my name out there, especially in the days of playing high school football. This is basically awarded, I'm receiving obviously from my high school days. Had a pretty decent college run. Pro football was okay, didn't do very well from the standpoint of spending a lot of years in the league. But I do have that last footage you saw up there. It's kind of funny because it's the 100 greatest all-time touchdowns, and people can say what they want. You know, I'm not a legend in the NFL, but they're never going to take that away from me being on it. And then the flip side of it, it is a folly. So I made two videos, and I'm in it, and you know, down the road, people can sit there and look at it. And look, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my mother and father. My father's not here. My mom's still here. Thank God they tried, and they got to the third time around, because I've had 2 older sisters, and I got 2 younger brothers. So we had 5 in the family growing up on the West Bank. My oldest sister, June, I had to deal with her. I had to deal with my sister, Kim. They were a lot better than I was, trust me, growing up. And then, you know, I have 2 younger brothers, and I say younger, one's a year younger than me, which is Keith, and I'll get a little bit into him after a while. But my youngest brother, Terry, didn't get a chance to really play much with Terry because he was 7 years younger than us. But the thing I remember so much about him is when you go around and try to pick a fight with him, he was the first guy I know that would always pick up a baseball bat at a golf club. So I left him alone. It doesn't feel good having your relatives and your brothers, and that's the way my young brother took things to the table. We competed at my household. Didn't matter if it was against my brothers or my sisters. All of them competed very well. And my nieces and nephews are here right now, and 2 of my nephews that I like to talk about right now is one is Chase Forcade, who's at Nichols, and then there's Coach Taylor Forcade, who coaches at Rummel. You know, my hat goes off to those guys. They stayed into it. But let's be honest, folks. You know, we talk about my high school and why I'm up here. Playground, Chester Jones was the coach that got me started. Like Kenny said, I started a defensive tackle. Rode my bicycle, wanted to play football. Coach says, okay, you're going to go be defense because you're the biggest guy in the field. And after I was blowing up plays, he said, no, we're going to move you to quarterback, and we only got 3 plays. I said, which ones are they? He goes, John run right, John run left, John run up the middle. And I said, what's the 4th play? He said, repeat play 1. And so that's how we ended up playing playground. But there was a guy that showed up every time that I had played playground football. Even when I played flag football and we won the city flag football. He was a coach by the name of Joe Zimmerman. He approached me and pretty much talked me into coming to Shaw High School. He's here today. I would not be here if it wasn't for Joe Zimmerman, folks. Let me say something. One of the greatest high school coaches to ever be around this city, and people know that their sports writers know who Joe Zimmerman is. And the day he looked at me and said, hey, you're going to start this week. And I went, say that again? You're going to start. I said, Coach, you know I'm only 13 years old. And he says, I don't care. You're starting. We're 0 and whatever. I haven't had a winning season in years. He says, you're going to start. And we go against Holy Cross. And I've seen more men with beards play high school football in the Catholic League in 1 year than I've ever seen. After you got Holy Cross, and then it becomes St. Aug, and then it's Rummel, then it's Jesuit, then De La Salle. We didn't win a game, but I'll say this. The team that we were that year, they were all gone. It was sort of like keep it together. You know, here I am, 13-year-olds, trying to look at these guys that were older than me and trying to hold them together. And I'm like, you know what, let's just get this year over. As the team that was coming up my sophomore year, we didn't even make the playoffs with an 8-3 record. This year you can go 0-10 or you're in the playoffs. We go 8-3, and I'm playing in a bowl game. I think it was called a Shrimp Bowl or somewhere up in Zachary, Louisiana, or somewhere in Baton Rouge, and 8-3. So the following years, my junior and senior year, we became very good football clubs. We lose to Covington, 3rd play of the game. I broke my foot, and we end up losing 7-6. We kick in a winning field goal. They carry me onto the field, and the kicker hits the crooked crossbar. We lose 7-6. My junior year, it was over. My senior year, we probably had one of the better teams in all of high school football, 5 weeks in a row, shutouts. So it just goes to show what type of team. Then we go to South Lafourche and play down against my good friend Bobby Hebert's team, and we jumped out on the guys, but that's why you play 60 minutes of football. And if you don't play 60 minutes of football, Plus, what you don't do is you don't put the same guy on an onside kick that's got bad hands and the ball hits him 3 times in a row and bounces to the other team. If somehow, some way, we realize that a little too late. But I'll go on record, I'm still on record saying I wasn't over the line of scrimmage when I threw that play. And we were on the road playing in St. Lafourche, and when the fire engine trucks were there before the game, watering down the field, I knew something was up for us. So it was a fun time in high school, but my whole high school career has to be one man. It was Coach Joe Z, who stood behind and believed in me as a 13-year-old. Just remember, folks, October 1974, I'm 13 years old. Then I go off after that, and I had an opportunity to play college football. I had some good offers, Bear Bryant, Alabama. They told me I wasn't going to play until I was a junior. I thanked him very much. He wasn't very happy in Las Vegas on the phone, and if some people know who Bear Bryant is, he likes to have a couple of cocktails, and he wasn't very happy, and we'll leave it at that. And then Coach McClendon came on board and talked to me, and I looked straight at the recruiting coordinator. I said, if Coach McClendon tells me I won't play until I'm a junior, you're not going to get me at LSU. And sure enough, I went to Ole Miss, and that explains what Coach McClendon told him. But I got to start as a 17-year-old in the SEC. I had a good career there. It wasn't a great career. We would score a lot of points offensively. We lead the SEC in scoring points, and our defense would lead the SEC in giving up points. So it wasn't very good at that end. And so as the season and years went on, people said, well, you got a lot of records. You broke Archie Manning's records. And I went, yes, I did. I said, but records are made to be broken. You know, his son Eli came along and broke my records. And I want to thank Eli. As of today, he still left me one record. I still hold the most interceptions in one season. So thank you, Eli, for letting me still have one record at Ole Miss. Then you could take a Google map. You could take anything you want. And you can just say, how did I end up getting the New Orleans Saints? And this is a true story. And Jim Finks was the GM at the time. And I wrote a letter to Mr. Finks and I said, listen, I will pay for you to let me try out for the New Orleans Saints. I went back to Ole Miss. I had a semester left. I went and graduated and got my degree when I was in between, my 48 different team trying to play for her. And I said, you know what, why not write a letter? Worst thing you do is never respond to him, but he did. And they traveled me down on a Tuesday. Wednesday, he said, John, we want to sign you to a contract for the New Orleans Saints. And I was shocked and thrilled. I didn't expect it that quick. And I guess the little PS hashtag he said, but didn't you remember you said you'd play for free? And I was like, well, I was kind of kidding. But they ended up paying me the little bit they paid back then. But that's how I got started with the Saints. I took the pen in my hand and pretty much begged, and I was proud to say I begged to get an opportunity, and didn't make it in '86. And the strike season hit, and we all sort of know what happened there. Ended up 12-3, and got drummed by Minnesota 44-10 in our first playoff game ever in 30 years of the New Orleans Saints not having a winning team. I felt like I was a part of that. I was very fortunate that the New Orleans Saints kept 8 players after the strike season. I was one of the players that stayed on the team. And then I had to hear, and I'm going to say this, I had to hear people always talk about, well, you were a scab, you crossed the line, you did this and all that. And I said, well, yes, I did, because it gave me an opportunity for something I wanted to really do. Maybe never, ever play for the New Orleans Saints after those 3 games or whatever, but it gave me an opportunity. Then I sat back and thought about it. Are you calling Joe Montana, Howie Long, Steve Largent, and Tony Dorsett scare players as well? Because they crossed the line too. And I'm not saying I'm in that category. But I'm saying if you're going to use that as what you're calling me, but you don't call those guys the same guys, they crossed the line too to play football. They wanted to play for their reasons. I played for my reasons. So I stuck around for 4 years, and we talk about injuries. I had a torn rotator cuff and a tendon tear in my right elbow. It kind of ended my playing career for the Saints, and then I tried to go off in other places. But nobody's going to take Mickey knows you're not taking quarterbacks with rotator cuff tears and tendon tears and working them out. So it was tough to get back in the NFL. But I had that golden opportunity. I played. I was here in my hometown. I'm very fortunate that I'm here. I got a great family behind me, and I get to watch my nephews play, get to watch them coaching. I have another nephew who works for New Orleans Saints. I want to Big congratulations to Emil Maffey. He had his first daughter Monday. So congratulations, Emil and his daughter. But look, I had a pretty good career. Wasn't the greatest in the world. I'm thrilled about it, what I've done. And when we talk about the injuries, you know, I'm not done yet. I got to get a right knee replacement in a couple of months, and then I got to get neck surgery right after that and thyroid surgery. So it's going to be, the year's not over with for me, but I want to thank everybody. But what I'm going to end in on this. One guy I played high school football, Pee Wee League football, college football with, and 1 year of pro football. That's my brother Keith, the biggest competitive person I've ever met in my life. One day I'm hoping he'll be up here. I've never had the opportunity to play against Keith. And someone asked me not too long ago, well, how would you want to go back and redo your thing? I said, here's what I want to do. I want the football at the 1 or 2 yard line. I want Keith Dr. Death football on the other side. And let's go at it, and I'll let you guys figure out who wins that battle. Thank y'all very much for having me here tonight.
Our next Hall of Famer never played organized basketball until he went to college at UNO. He became a #1 draft choice in the NBA. The Privateer's own Irvin Johnson.
Irvin Johnson is one of the most interesting rags to riches stories in sports. Johnson grew up in the tiny town of Jonesville, Louisiana, about 45 minutes northeast of Alexandria. A little over 6 feet tall, he tried out, then quit the Block High School basketball team feeling he just wasn't ready for basketball. He grew a few more inches. Then, after graduation, Irvin hit an 8-inch growth spurt, towering up to 6 feet 11 inches tall. He was working at a Baton Rouge supermarket for almost 3 years when a quiet inner voice told him, "Go back to school." He heard University of New Orleans basketball coach Tim Floyd was in need of height for his program. Johnson had something to offer: height, in a 6 foot 11 inch frame for a coach who had no starter taller than 6'5". This ESPN recreation shows how Floyd instantly awarded Johnson a scholarship.
Well, big guy, where have you been the last few years? Well, Coach, I never played basketball before. I just been working in a grocery store.
Johnson was ready to learn. He wanted to play. He was coachable and developed a grueling work ethic and hit the weight room hard. He began as the weakest UNO player on the team. By career's end, he was the strongest. Under Floyd's coaching, Johnson blossomed into one of New Orleans' great college basketball players, leading UNO to 3 conference championships and setting school records for career rebounds, field goal percentage, blocked shots, games started, and minutes played. His senior year, Johnson led UNO to a 26-4 overall record, which included a perfect 18-0 conference mark, a number 7 ranking in the final Associated Press poll, and he was named Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. UNO retired his jersey. Irvin made history by becoming UNO's first and only first-round NBA draft choice, a distinction he holds at the time of this induction. The Seattle Supersonics drafted Irvin Johnson as the 23rd overall choice in the 1993 NBA Draft. He played for 3 seasons there, spent a year in Denver, starting all 82 regular season games, averaging 7 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks. The following season, he was traded for 3 players to the Milwaukee Bucks and played 7 of his 9 final seasons there, and with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Johnson was always involved in several NBA community initiatives, charitable and philanthropic causes. As a member of the Denver Nuggets Ambassadors, he supports his own AAU program, EJ Hoops, and helps with coaching. He shares his spoken autobiography with thousands of kids a year, emphasizing keys to success for young people. And he reminds them of believing in others and having someone believe in you. Irvin completed his degree at UNO and delivered the commencement address to his 1997 graduating class. In retrospect, Irvin's life is an incredible story of a guy who never played high school basketball and then 3 years after high school decides to give it a try, gets a scholarship, plays 4 years, and gets drafted into the NBA as a first rounder. Johnson reflects, "I think it was a divine appointment. Yes, from a little inner voice that's produced big results that he now shares with others." Let's welcome to the All-State Sugar Bowl Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame, Class of 2018, basketball great, Irvin Johnson.
First of all, I'd like to thank God for making all this possible. Selective committee, thank you for selecting me. All the other inductees, congratulations. A lot of memories. Normally I don't write things down, but I wrote a few things down. I'm pretty sure I will deviate from that. To be the class of 2018 Hall of Fame for the second time. I was inducted to the Louisiana Hall of Fame 5 years ago. Can't believe that a little small skinny kid from Jonesville, Louisiana, working in a grocery store, had no idea of direction I wanted to go in, to be able to get drafted in the NBA. But before then, a college coach, Tim Floyd, I owe so much to him. He changed my life. He changed my life. I remember working in that grocery store for 3 years after high school. I just wanted to work, take care of myself, help my family out, support them. In that grocery store for 3 years, I had to grow up. I wasn't ready for what I was going to be faced with in college and what I was going to be faced with in the NBA. And I learned a lot being out on my own. I had to struggle. I had to fight. I had to learn who I am inside of me, who the person I am. I just had to learn a lot. And I remember this day like it was yesterday. Stocking shelves in A&P in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And a little small voice said, "Go back to school." And I looked around, nobody was there. I looked around again, nobody was there. And about an hour later, a guy named Paul Bologna, he came into the store. I got to know him very well by him coming in there all the time, him and his family. And he said, "Don't you know, UNO needing players?" And I walked into Tim Floyd's office the next day, knocked on his door, and he said, "Who is it?" I said, "Irvin Johnson." He stepped out of it. He thought it was Magic Johnson. And it's exactly like he said. He said, "Where you been? What's going on?" I said, I never played high school basketball before. I'm 6'11". He never told this part of the story. He took me in the gym. He lined me up on the baseline. He said, "Run from one end to the next," and I ran real fast. He said, "Come here, I want you to stand up underneath the basket. I want to see how you can jump." And I jumped above the square, touched above the square. He said, "Well, I'm going to give you a scholarship." Lo and behold, weeks and months later, he wanted to take that scholarship from me because I was that bad of a player. I could never forget, I would never ever forget, sitting across from him, he called me in his office. He said, "Irvin, you know I love you. I gave you a scholarship, but you have too long ago. Your skill level is not there." He said, "Go talk to your mom and dad and let them know I want to send you to a junior college and I'll bring you back." I said, "I'm old enough to make my own decision. I don't need to talk to my parents, but I'm not going to do it." And he said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm not going to do it." He said, "Well, I'm going to say one thing. Get in the gym and work." He left it at that. And I got in the gym and worked. And played the 4 years at the University of New Orleans. When I remember the first game I ran out, he said, "I'm not going to call any plays for you anyway, so just run the floor, block shots, rebound, and just stay out of the way of all the other good players." And believe it or not, I stayed out of the way of all the good players. But the second year, he ran all the plays for me because I got in the gym and worked. I trusted him so much, but more important, I trust God. I knew that he had called me to do something special. And I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was just going to work as hard as possible, give myself a chance, and I did just that. And to Ron Maestri, Ed Cashier, and all the UNO staff, I greatly appreciate everything you guys did for me for those 4 years I was at the University of New Orleans, and I'm so honored for that. To understand me and my journey, you must understand the people that raised me, that supported me, that encouraged me. And it's my parents that brought me into this world. And I owe so much to my mom and my dad. I saw your struggles. I saw all the stress you had on your face. And I'm grateful that God blessed you through me, because I had no idea all of this was going to happen. And Mom, you know I love you. I owe everything to you. I know you've been fighting illness for the last few years, and there's not a day go by that I wish it was me and not you, because you sacrificed so much for not only myself, but my siblings. And my dad couldn't be here tonight, and I owe a lot to my father. Sometimes when you grow up and your father's not always around, you tend to hold grudges. You tend to be mad at him, the other person, but I owe a lot to my dad. And I look now, when I look at him, I see myself. I see myself. I haven't spent a lot of time in Louisiana since I left UNO. I've been living in Colorado, and it's always good to come back home to a place where all my blood and sweat lies, and I'm grateful to be back home. To my siblings, my older sister Karen, my second oldest sister Vanessa, she's not here, my brother Kevin, my brother Stephen, thank you guys for the support and love you have shown me. I knew they was going to be in the stands when I run out of that tunnel at UNO. They was going to be there cheering me on, no matter how good game or bad game, they was going to be there. So I'm grateful for you guys and appreciate it. To my teammates, thank you. I don't know if any of you here, you never can be a player without your teammates. Basketball is a team sport. And even though I was a bad player, they encouraged me and they stood next to me. And I'm just so grateful that I had great teammates, not only at the University of New Orleans, but with my professional career and teams as well. My agent, Oscar Schoenfeld, he's not here. I had one agent for 13 years. And I'm going to give you a quick story. Sometimes in life, you always want to go to something that glitter and glamour all the time. And it was time for me to pick an agent. And Oscar used to always be at the games. And I said, that's one guy I would not pick. For whatever reason, he just got under my nerves all the time. And I went home. I prayed to God about it. He said, that's the one. And I did not tell God no. I accepted what he had for me. And I've had one agent for 13 years. And that is unheard of in professional sports, because normally they change. They always want something better. And I just stuck with my heart and my gut, and I was obedience to God, and it worked out perfect for me. To all my coaching staff, I know I have Alvin Gaucher, he's here. And funny or not, he was an assistant coach under Tim Floyd. And all the players loved him. And I stayed away from him when I was a player. But after I left UNO, him and I become best of friends. And he taught me so much. And Alvin, you and I talk every day. And believe it or not, we argued every day and have disagreements. And you say, how can best friends always be best friends and still argue and have a lot of things you don't agree upon? But he taught me a lot of things, not only about sports, about life in general, kids, raising kids and everything. So I'm grateful for you. Last but not least is my wife and kids. Renee, I love you. We've been through a lot of things. Life, you're going to have seasons in life. To the young people, to the older ones, we all know this. You're going to have seasons in life, and they don't have anything to do with materialistic things. You're going to have a fall season. You're going to have a winter season. You're going to have a spring season. You're going to have a summer season. You might get all of them in one day. And I learned that. I had a lot of winter season when I was in high school. I had a lot of summer season when I was in the NBA. But at the same time, I had a lot of winter season out of the NBA. But one thing I would say, thank you for sticking there by me, because can be a little crazy guy at times, you know, but that's the honest truth. Being professional, you always think you can do everything and say what you want to say and all of that, and God have a way of humbling you. He really do. To my kids, Ezekiel and Aaron, they never got a chance to see me play in college. They only heard of all these stories and all of that. And Daddy always said, Dad, you wasn't a good player. They always felt like somebody else was better, and I always say I outworked them. You're going to always find somebody that is better, faster, smarter, quicker. But I told my kids and other people and young kids, just have work ethics. Just outwork them. Just outwork them, because, you know, talent can only go so far. And if you have working skills, and I learned that from my mom and dad, they worked all the time, and to this day I work no matter what I'm doing. I put 110% in it. So I'm really grateful for all of that. I'm going to leave in closing with this. How can all this possibly happen to a skinny little guy from Jonesville, struggle, end up graduating from college, won a gold medal, second Hall of Fame, played in the NBA for 13 years. The general manager for all NBA teams said I wasn't going to play no more than 3 years, so I was too skinny and all of that. I never listened to none of it. I said, until God tells me something different, I'm not listening. And I'm going to leave with this. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. And I had faith to get me where I'm at today. I'm going to have faith to continue my journey. Thanks to everyone for having me and selecting me, part of the 2018 class, and to all the other inductees, congratulations again. I'm a big Saints fan, huge Saints fan. I live in Colorado, but we won that Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure they heard it back here in Louisiana, because I was screaming for days. And everybody know I'm a Saints fan, and every Sunday, I'm right in front of the TV waiting for the Saints to come on. Like I said, I live in Colorado. I'm not a Broncos fan. I'm not a Broncos fan. I let everybody know that. I'm not a Broncos fan. I'm a Saints fan. I love watching the Saints. And I'm an LSU fan. To all the LSU alumni here, I love my SEC. I love Louisiana. I love all of it, because that's what made me, shaped me, and molded me to the man I am today. And God bless everyone. Thank you.
To present the James J. Corbett Awards to the outstanding male and female amateur athletes in the state of Louisiana, we introduce the president of the All-State Sugar Bowl, Mr. Rod West.
On behalf of the All-State Sugar Bowl, I want to thank you for attending tonight's ceremony and express just how much of an honor it is for me to be here representing the volunteers of the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar Bowl Committee has sponsored these awards and this banquet for over 40 years, and we've had the opportunity to recognize many of the great athletes who have represented this city. And this year brings us yet another tremendous class of honorees. The Corbett Award was created in 1967 to honor the late James J. Corbett, the former athletic director at LSU. We present two every year, one each to the top male and female amateur athletes in the state. Over the years, the Corbett Award has recognized 17 NFL players, 8 Major League Baseball players, 4 NBA players, including 2 Hall of Famers, 3 WNBA players, including the most recent WNBA MVP, and 8 Olympians, including 7 gold medal winners. This truly is a great honor for us. However, in reviewing the resumes, it seems this year's Corbett honorees must have been landslide winners. Last year, our 2 Corbett winners were also recognized as the best collegiate student athletes in the nation for their respective sports. I don't mean to take away from last year's winners in any way, but our 2018 Corbett Award winners are both recognized as being among the best in the world. It's still a couple of years away, but I wouldn't be at all surprised to see these two amazing athletes competing in Tokyo at the 2020 Olympic Games. The Sugar Bowl is very proud to have the opportunity to recognize them both. Please take a look at the video screen for this year's male Corbett Award winner.
The best amateur male athlete in the state of Louisiana is the best in the world at what he does. To watch this 18-year-old Armand Duplantis in action is to watch a gifted athlete take pole vaulting to new heights, no pun intended. It's been a great 2-month swing for the Lafayette High star as Duplantis won the high school Class 5A pole vault and then set a world junior record in May with a vault of 19 feet 5.5 inches. He then won the gold medal at the Under-20 World Championships in Finland in July with a clearance of 19 feet 1 inch. Such performances are commonplace for Mondo. A friend of the family nicknamed him Mondo, a takeoff on his name Armand. Mondo in Italian is world. Armando, as a newspaper once called him at a young age, was living up to his nickname, setting age category world records in his early childhood. Mondo began 2018 by improving upon the world indoor under-20 record to 19 feet 1.5 inches at the PB Summit in Reno, Nevada. In April at the Texas Relays, Duplantis improved the outdoor under-20 record to 19 feet 4.5 inches, then improved that to 19 feet 5.5 inches to win the Louisiana High School meet. He won state 8 times. He's also the reigning European Junior Champion and the 2015 World Champion in the under-18 classification. As a junior at Lafayette High, Armand became the only high school vaulter to clear 19 feet. He has jumped 19 feet a total of 13 times. The road to that success began soon after Armand learned to walk in a family of elite athletes, all of whom attended Louisiana State University. His father, Greg, set a national high school pole vault record at Lafayette High before becoming an LSU All-American. He jumped 19 feet 1/4 inch as a pro, a mark that Mondo surpassed as a junior at Lafayette High. His mother, Helena, a native of Sweden, was an LSU heptathlete and a volleyball player. His eldest brother, Andreas, 7 times a state champion, is in the top 10 all-time at LSU in pole vault and played in the Little League World Series in 2005. His family's middle son, Antoine, is an outfielder at LSU who set a school record with 6 hits in a game and was the team hitting leader this year. Little sister Johanna won the state pole vault record this year as a freshman. But little Armand may be the most gifted, setting world records in his age category starting at 7 years old. His father trained him in a home backyard pole vault pit, which worked until Mondo eventually outgrew it. At 13 years old, Armand already held 7 age group world records. At 15, he held the national indoor freshman record of 16 feet 8 3/4 inches at the Millrose Games in New York. He became the first high school vaulter to jump 18 feet indoors and did it as a sophomore. So far this summer on the World Tour, he has placed second against the big boys in Eugene and Paris and won the Stockholm meet. Like the rest of his family, Duplantis will attend LSU because, in his words, choosing LSU is a family thing. For this gifted pole vaulter, it can truly be said of his future, the sky is the limit. The All-State Sugar Bowl's James J. Corbett Award recipient is the outstanding male amateur athlete in the state of Louisiana, is Lafayette High School's world champion pole vaulter, Armand Mondo Duplantis.
Armand is currently in Europe competing against the best pole vaulters in the world, in addition to the accomplishments you just heard about. I was told that at a meet outside Paris earlier this summer, he defeated the world record holder in head-to-head competition. This young man has built an amazing career, and he is only 18 years old. Accepting on his behalf is his brother Antoine, the pride of the Tiger baseball team.
Yeah, like they said, Mondo would have loved to have been here tonight, but he's finishing up his European track circuit this summer. Next week he'll be competing in the European Championships in Berlin, so hopefully he can bring home another medal for himself. On behalf of my brother Mondo and my family, we would like to thank the All-State Sugar Bowl Committee for Mondo's selection of the Corbett Award. He's truly proud and honored to have received this award. I mean, it's so humbling for him and our family to look at the prior recipients, and it's really a list of who's who in Louisiana athletics. The whole Duplantis clan, I mean, we have deep roots in LSU and Greater New Orleans. My grandfather, my dad, and my uncles graduated from, or didn't graduate. They all went to high school at Holy Cross High School in New Orleans, and several family members, like they said, who graduated from LSU. I'm expected to graduate this spring, and obviously Mondo's going to be there in the fall. We couldn't be more proud to be associated with the Corbett Award and Sugar Bowl legacies. Thank you again on behalf of Mondo and the entire Duplantis family.
Now let's get back to the video screen to meet this year's female Corbett Award winner.
Aaliyah Hobbs had a magnificent 2017, being named the SEC's Outstanding Runner of the Year and the South Central Region Women's Track Athlete of the Year. If you wondered how she could top that, well, she did, with 3 national championships in 2018. As the anchor for the LSU 4x100 relay squad, Hobbs has been part of 5 of the 10 fastest relay times in NCAA history. And at the SEC championships, the 4x100 team was clocked at 42.05 seconds, the fastest time in collegiate history. No wonder that this squad went into the NCAA championships as the favorites in their categories, and Hobbs and her Tiger teammates did not disappoint. Aaliyah Hobbs completed her personal trifecta, winning all 3 major events at the USA Track and Field Championships. The New Orleans native from McMain High School capped her career anchoring the most legendary 4x100 meter relay team in collegiate history by putting the finishing touches on an unblemished season. Hobbs closed out a time of 42.25 seconds, 0.81 seconds faster than runner-up Oregon in helping the LSU women win their 2nd title in 3 years and their 15th 4x100 meter relay title in program history, which leads the NCAA. LSU now owns 6 of the last 8 fastest times in collegiate history. Running on the last day of her collegiate career, Hobbs overcame a torrential downpour and strong headwind to win the 100-meter dash in 11.01 seconds, the 8th title in that category, which is the most in NCAA history. The All-State Sugar Bowl's James J. Corbett Award recipient as the outstanding female amateur athlete in the state of Louisiana is one of the fastest runners in the history of the NCAA, LSU sprinter Aaliyah Hobbs.
How y'all doing today? It's a great honor to receive this award, but I couldn't do it by myself. First, I would like to thank God, because without Him, none of this would be possible. I like to thank my family and friends. We have about 3 tables in the back full of them. I like to thank my fans, my coaches. Some of them are here. I have Coach Kokomo here, Coach Roussel's here. We have Coach Schofield. I also like to thank the entire LSU family. My current coach, Coach Dennis Shaver. I'll also be graduating in December from LSU. And I would like to thank Adidas for giving me the opportunity to start my professional career with them. And lastly, I would just like to thank the City of New Orleans and the Sugar Bowl Committee for selecting me. Thank you.
Congratulations again to all of our honorees, and thanks to the All-State Sugar Bowl for its tremendous support. In addition to the football game, the Sugar Bowl sponsors over 50 annual events, which in the last decade brought over $2.5 billion into the local economy. I want to thank the Sugar Bowl for everything it does for Louisiana, and thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show.